All right, folks, this is getting out of hand. The more we learn about the Trump assassination, the worse it looks, not only for the Secret Service, but for the authorities in general. I'm shocked by how many just mainstream people are going on cable news, not just Fox News, and it would be remarkable even if this happened on Fox News, but it's also happening on CNN, MSNBC, and of course all across new media online. People are saying this very openly. This looks like more than incompetence. You have ex-snipers, ex-Secret Service people, folks in private security. You have Eric Prince of BlackRock, all sorts of people with these very same similar backgrounds in security who have been in these sorts of situations, securing perimeters for VIPs at events like this, all saying that this was a failure at every single level, and it's pretty hard to believe how that happens by accident. This was such an amateurish rookie mistake that it's impossible that every single person who was working on this job as a part of not only the Secret Service, but the local police who were supporting the Secret Service. They were not in charge, despite what the Secret Service says, and the Secret Service is trying to deflect and blame the local police. The local police were not in charge. They were simply there to support the Secret Service, and they were acting as extra bodies, basically. Any one of these people involved could have done something to prevent this situation from happening. And for some reason, none of them did. And that's the question that has to be answered by a real investigation, which sadly we are not going to get. We're not going to get that kind of an investigation. Instead, we're getting an investigation from the FBI, the very same FBI who tried to put Trump in prison for the rest of his life. The very same FBI which essentially wanted to give Trump the death penalty by imprisonment. Because if you get sentenced to life in prison, and at Trump's age, any serious prison sentence is a life sentence, that is really the death penalty. It's just the death penalty by waiting. If Trump had gone to prison, which he still might, we still have sentencing that we're waiting on, which has now been postponed in the New York trial. Trump may very well go to prison, spend the rest of his life in prison. That can still happen. But the point is, many of the same people who have contributed to that and have tried to bring about that outcome are now the ones in charge of investigating his attempted assassination, the failed assassination of Donald J. Trump. And so we're not going to get the truth from them. And frankly, the fact that Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has not announced that the House of Representatives will be doing their own investigation, because the House has subpoena power. They could conduct an investigation and find the truth for the American people. When the FBI does it, we're not going to get anything. We're not going to get the cell phone records. We're not going to know anything about this young man who, up on that rooftop, shot down into the crowd. The FBI is the cover-up crew. Everyone knows that. Nevertheless, there were so many cameras at this event. We have so many videos which have been synced up. And we have so much witness testimony from all the people who were present. This is truly the kind of event that if it were not caught on film, you wouldn't be able to believe it. It's a crazy story. Now we have new reports saying that a police officer actually scaled the ladder that was used by the shooter to get onto this rooftop. He verified visually with the naked eye that, yup, there's a guy up here with a gun, before going back down the ladder, doing nothing. He left him to go about his business. He left the man on that roof to carry out the shooting, which killed that poor firefighter and nearly killed the man who, by all indications, is going to be the next president of the United States. that police officer, as well as multiple other people, such as the two Secret Service snipers, have to live with the rest of their life knowing that they failed to take the actions to save the life of that man. His death is on their conscience. But since this is a rather serious situation, it's much bigger than those people. It's much bigger than any of the officers or the agents who worked on this mission. I'm not just here to shame them. We have to know what actually happened. Why would someone do that? Why didn't they take this guy out? The most obvious explanation is that they were under orders to stand down. Because other than that, there's no excuse, there's no reason why no one out of the police or the Secret Service took action to stop this guy before he carried out his final mission. It's a fact that they knew he was there, they saw he had a gun, and they did nothing. The timeline keeps getting pushed back. Now, the latest I've heard is it was up to 29 minutes before the shooting started that this guy was first identified, that he was first noticed. I've also heard reports that he tried to get in the front gate and go through security, and of course couldn't make it through security, and so he left and was acting erratic. And at that time, security for the event, whether it be Secret Service or police or whoever, somebody was ordered to keep an eye on him. And so they were tipped off about him at that point, because this guy was some kind of spurg. He tried to go in the front door, and when that didn't work, he went around and climbed up that building. And so without trying to without having to invoke or conjure up any kind of a conspiracy theory, there is no theory here about conspiracy. It is a fact, based on the evidence we have, that the police and the Secret Service were complicit in this shooting. They allowed it to happen. That is a matter of fact. It's not an opinion. If they knew there was a man with a gun pointed at a crowd of people, and they did nothing to stop that man until he opened fire, only after he opened fire did they return fire and take him out, that means they are complicit. They allowed it to happen. They helped him. This could not have happened without them. And so by definition, this shooter did not act alone. He had accomplices. People are theorizing, did he have help in planning it? Who told him that there would be a ladder waiting for him on this building? Apparently he didn't bring the ladder. The ladder was there waiting for him. So, I heard someplace that the ladder perhaps was permanently affixed to the building. That's certainly not standard, at least in my state, with metal buildings. Metal buildings don't just have a ladder that is permanently attached. How would he know? He lived 60 miles away. How did he know ahead of time that there would be a ladder there? But you don't even have to wonder that. You don't even have to wonder if he had other people who were talking to him, if he had other people who were giving him information. Although that would make sense if that were the case. It could just be that he got lucky. It could just be that he happened to notice that ladder was there, climbed up, and had a perfect position 130 yards away to fire upon Donald Trump in the crowd. And it could just so happen that the Secret Service people were confused or something and thought that they were not allowed to neutralize threats. I guess that is technically possible, but it is highly improbable, like a 99.999% chance that is not true, that didn't happen, because that's not what the Secret Service does. Because here's the thing: if the Secret Service was this incompetent, if the Secret Service had a policy of not responding to threats until somebody starts shooting at the president, we'd have a lot more dead presidents. If the Secret Service just thought it was okay for someone to walk around pointing a gun at a president or anyone else who's under Secret Service protection, the Secret Service would not be able to protect anyone, because guess what? If they're allowed to get off even one shot, that's enough to hit their target. In this case, Trump just happened to survive. And in the words of, I think it was the official Twitter account of the John Brown Gun Club, a failed attempt is the worst case scenario for the left, because now Trump looks invincible. And so at the same time, last night, or maybe it was Sunday, no, it was last night, there was an interview that aired with Biden on NBC News where, again, he looked like a doddering old fool. And what do you know? It looks like Biden has no chance of winning re-election. The mainstream of the Democratic Party has to feel utterly hopeless at this point. There is only one thing that will prevent Donald J. Trump from becoming the 47th president of the United States, and that's a bullet to the head. I think there's a lot of people thinking that way on the left. I, of course, do not endorse that. I think that that's terrible, but I think that's how they're thinking. Just listen to Destiny, who was just suspended from Twitch. Kino Casino did a great video covering Destiny's downward spiral on how he, as a mainstream liberal, not a crazy communist psycho, a Biden supporter, okay? He's so mainstream, he's okay with Biden. He's willing to vote for Joe Biden. Massively popular Twitch streamer, 800,000 subscribers on YouTube. Destiny believes that Trump is Hitler, as is the mainstream Democrat talking point. That's what Joe Biden believes. That's what your average Democrat voter believes. And if you believe that Trump is Hitler, as they do, you listen to someone like Destiny, he must be stopped at all costs. Of course it's moral to use violence at that point. And if that violence happens to spill over and affect not only Trump, but Trump supporters, such as that man who was sitting in the crowd, who was shot in the head and killed, the firefighter, that's just fine. In fact, if you listen to Destiny, that sort of violence, that death, that's hilarious, in his words. And when asked how he would feel if that were one of his parents, rather than some stranger he's never met, he basically said, good riddance. He said, well, fine, now I don't have to pay for their end-of-life care when they get to be too old to take care of themselves. I don't have to pay for their nursing home if they get killed at a Trump rally. I'm glad they're dead. Destiny is not some crazy, insular, left-wing loon. He is a mainstream Democrat. He is representative of how normal Democrat voters feel. That's how afraid of Donald Trump they are. And so that's why I think it's quite possible that someone else, leaving aside, you don't have to bring up conspiracies, anything like that. I think there's plenty of people in this country who are afraid enough of Donald Trump to take that chance and try to take him out themselves. And I think they're more desperate to do that now than they were before. Because, as I said, Trump looks invincible. I think a lot of them will come to that same conclusion, that this is the only way to stop him. And if it costs me my life, well, I'll be doing it to save the country. And if they really believe that, of course, isn't that morally justifiable if you believe you're saving America by trying to take out Hitler, even if it costs you your life, even if you end up getting shot by the Secret Service? But if you can get off one shot and that shot kills American Hitler, won't you rest in peace? Won't you think that you died a hero? Won't you think I'll be remembered as the man or woman who saved America? That's what's so insidious about the situation with the Secret Service. There is no need, if you want to go down the conspiracy theory route and say that the Secret Service wanted Trump to die. it doesn't mean that they worked directly with the shooter. It doesn't have to mean that at all. It could be exactly what we've seen. There could be nothing more, essentially, other than what we already know. Based on what we know, the Secret Service and the local police allowed this to happen. And if you want Trump dead, and you know there are people willing to take that shot, all you have to do is allow someone just enough wiggle room for them to take that shot. You give them just enough rope to hang Trump, and then you hang them. And then once you shoot the guy who shot Trump, you can still say, hey, look, I'm a hero. I killed the assassin that killed Trump, and you clean them up, you get rid of them. It's good, it's clean, everybody gets what they want, and everybody goes home. I think we're really in that kind of a situation as a country, and that should be Donald Trump's number one concern, as far as his safety goes. If I were him, as I said before, I'd have my own private security next to me. If they're along with the Secret Service, okay, maybe that's okay, But I would definitely have my own guys there too that I trust. Because how could you ever trust the Secret Service after what happened? What happens the next time there's a shooter in position to take out Trump's head, and the Secret Service, perhaps they're told, we don't know why they didn't take the shot. Did they just choose not to, or were they told to stand down? I would imagine that they were following orders or following protocol. Either they had a standing order to not fire unless fired upon, or they were specifically instructed not to fire upon this guy, told, oh no, he's one of us, or something like that. Because I guess that's like the only innocent explanation left, is that the Secret Service thought that this guy was some kind of police officer in disguise, another sniper who was on their team, in other words. But I don't think that they thought that, because they had their scopes lined up. They had the shot lined up to take him out before he started shooting. So I don't think that they were under the impression that he was one of them. And frankly, I think that the police officer who climbed up on the roof and then climbed down would have verified that with the Secret Service. I think everyone knew exactly who this guy was and what he was there to do. And we've got it all on video. So many more angles, so many better angles than what happened to John F. Kennedy. So with that said, I will see you folks back here in the next one.